2 years ago, I started my photography journey with a used Fujifilm X100T. Unfortunately, less than halfway through my journey, I broke it. So, I upgraded to the X100F, which became my main camera for over a year while traveling and working as a photographer in Japan. Hi, my name is Jorge. Welcome. In this channel, we merge creativity and productivity to try to live a more fulfilling life. I've been using the Fujifilm X-T3 for a couple weeks now, and even though it's not a perfect camera, it has a lot of great features, and here's what I think about it. I was actually very happy with the X100F, but I always had this thought in the back of my mind that I would eventually graduate into an X-T series. And so I did. This is the Fuji X-T3. But wanting and needing a camera are very different things, so I had to do some self-exploration to really justify upgrading to a new camera. These are just basic questions that I ask myself, almost like following steps for a scientific method, for example. So here it is. Buying a camera when you don't have one is a lot more significant than just upgrading from an old camera. Getting that initial purchase lets you start taking photos, creating content, learning, and figuring things out on your own. If money's not an issue, then you can just upgrade every time a new model comes out and not have to worry about it. But for most people, including myself, when considering upgrading, the features have to be significant enough to justify spending the money. The X100 series was clearly intended as a street photography camera. Lightweight, portable, easy to carry, everyday carry, a travel companion, clearly intended for that. And even though you could do other types of photography like maybe landscape or portraits, it was not really intended for that, so it kind of got on the way of doing other things as well. So it is very important to understand the intended application of a product, in this case a camera, so you can really adjust and manage your expectations. Because when you don't do that, you get cameras like the Canon R5 and R6. These are photo cameras that happen to do video, but mainly photo cameras. And if you jump into those cameras expecting them to behave like cinema cameras or more expensive professional cameras, then you will be disappointed, you will be frustrated. So the intended application of a product is extremely important, so you know what to expect from it. In this case, the Fuji X-T3 was designed to be the flagship camera from Fujifilm. A good balance, a hybrid between photos and video. On paper, the specs of the X-T3 look excellent, but the key features for me were interchangeable lenses. Obviously, coming from an X100F, that's a big deal. A new sensor with better sensitivity in low light, that's great for night photos and video mode as well, and the drastically improved video capabilities of the camera. The X100 series was clearly intended to be a street photography camera and a travel camera, and the X-T series was supposed to be the flagship camera from Fujifilm, where it has all the features and no compromises. But is it true? Does it really feel that way? In terms of usability, there's a clear advantage here. Interchangeable lenses, robust and weather-sealed body, adjustable and tilting LCD screen, large and clear viewfinder, dual SD cards for backup recording or RAW and JPEG configuration, but it also has an SLR style viewfinder, which I absolutely hate. In case you haven't noticed, my nose is huge, and this is not comfortable or fun at all. I really dislike having an SLR style viewfinder. Not only my nose gets on the way every time I put it up to my eye, but when I review the photos I can see the screen is completely covered in oil, skin oil, which makes it look disgusting and I have to be wiping it off fairly frequently as well. And I get it, this is just personal preference, it doesn't affect everybody. But these are not DSLRs. There's no mirror there. So I don't understand why the viewfinder has to be located in that place, making it so uncomfortable to use. Now, I understand why this may seem silly to you, but I started my photography journey 2 years ago with a rangefinder style camera. So living in the viewfinder, it felt comfortable and natural to me, not this. And I realized that with my interactions with this camera, the camera is forcing me to use it like this. Not use the viewfinder, just stare at the LCD screen I understand that this is the most common design and pretty much every single manufacturer has a SLR style viewfinder, but I just don't see the reason for it. Not in 2020. The X-T3 does not come with a built-in ND filter, which not only means you have to buy one, but 2, you have to carry it with you. You never know when you're gonna use it or need it, at least for street photography. So now something as simple as just grabbing your X100F on your way out and just taking photos and using it as your everyday carry becomes more complicated when you have a camera like this. The image quality from the X-T3 is significantly improved from the X Pro 2, X-T2, and X100F. A new X-Trans sensor with better autofocus performance and better low light sensitivity for night photography, for example. And this is especially great if you're out and about taking photos and you have to stop down to f4 or f5.6 for some reason. Now you have better sensitivity on the camera. That definitely helps a lot. And this is the same sensor that you get on the Fuji X-T4, which makes getting the X-T3 a lot more appealing because you don't feel like you're missing out. Yes, there are clear advantages and differences between those two cameras, but you don't really feel like you're missing out too much on image quality, on the sensor sensitivity, on the autofocus. And this sensor also gave us one of the most important features of this camera, and the main reason why I even considered having a hybrid for photos and videos all in one place. And that feature is I personally think this is a significant upgrade. DCI 4K, 10-bit internal recording, all intra codec, 4K 60, film simulations on F-Log, and 422 10-bit out via an HDMI for an external recorder. This is one of the main features why I considered getting this camera. And now that I'm frequently making videos like this, I also wanted to step up my video quality as well. But the important point about the X-T3 is the hybrid aspect. Having a hybrid camera that can be your main video camera, your YouTube camera, your filmmaking camera, but also a camera that you can just take out and about and do street photography with as well. Alright, and this is what the X-T3 video looks like. I'm using the Eternal profile, 4K 24p, 420 10-bit recording at H.265. Hopefully everything's in focus because I'm using the Fujifilm application. It is absolute garbage, but I don't know, what do you think? How does it look like? I can use it for video here at home, and I can use it for photos when I'm out and about shooting, and back to my iPhone 8 Plus. I thought of doing some video tests and recording some clips and show you the results, but instead, I recommend you watch Matthew Libatique's video on the X-T3. He's an incredible DP, have shot movies like Iron Man 1 and 2, Black Swan, Mother, and A Star Is Born. And he made a short film rigging the X-T3 like a cinema camera. I don't know how I missed this. I didn't know that the short film existed, and I stumbled upon it while researching the camera. I highly recommend you check it out. I'll link it down in the description below. When upgrading to a different camera, you also need to consider the additional costs. There's no point upgrading to the newest Fujifilm camera, in this case the X-T4, if you also don't have enough to cover the additional cost. Faster memory cards for 4K video and 4K 60, ND filters which are not built into the camera and you need to have them if you want to do street photography or videos at the right shutter speed. Additional lenses so you're not only using the kit lens for maybe a year or two because you cannot afford anything else. And if you get those three things, then you need a camera bag because where are you going to store your camera? You cannot put it on your pocket. Things like that are important to consider from the beginning. And for most of us, the cost of the equipment is a huge factor when deciding to upgrade to a new thing or to buy a used item or to just find the best deal that you can. Which brings me to my next point. I normally recommend buying used or refurbished equipment. It's a good way to save some cash, and in some cases, it can put equipment within reach. In a previous video, we talked about why the iPad Pro is a great tool for traveling creatives and people on the go, like photographers, and I also did an unboxing of a refurbished unit. I recommend you click there and check that video if you haven't already. Buying used and refurbished is a good way to save some money if you don't mind the homework that comes involved with it. But every now and then you can get sale prices, rebates, and discounts that make buying a new camera a lot more appealing than just finding it used. And that leads me to this. The current Fujifilm summer sale. It is significant. It started at the end of July and it will continue until September 6th. The discounts are massive. The X-T3 is $500 off. And the discount applies to both the body and the kit configuration, which is the one I purchased. And there's some discounts for lenses as well. Definitely recommend it, and if you are on the fence or trying to get some deals out of that, this is a pretty good deal. there's a clear division on the Fuji lineup of cameras. The X100 series is a travel companion, the lightweight street photography camera. The X-T series is the flagship camera, does everything, and the X Pro series is the heavy-duty street photography camera with interchangeable lenses. Thinking about the lineup before you make a purchase is a good way to go, so I definitely recommend you rent cameras before you buy. That way it gives you a better idea what the ergonomics feel like, what the specs look like, what the quality is before you pull the trigger and you purchase something. Especially when it's used and you cannot refund it or exchange it, something to keep in mind. And this brings us to my thoughts on the Fujifilm X-T3. Honestly, I think this is an amazing camera. Really high quality, robust, beautiful film simulations, incredible video specs. I hate where the viewfinder is located. And to be clear, this is not the camera's fault. It is my own personal preference. For the last 2 years, I've been using the rangefinder style cameras, and that's what I'm accustomed to, that's what I'm used to. Going back to a viewfinder like this, it just feels counterintuitive. And I didn't get the X Pro 3 because even though the sensor is the same, the image quality is the same, the video functionality has been handicapped. No 10-bit recording, no high frame rates, and that's the main reason why you should have a hybrid camera, to have video and photo together. However, the real fault lies in the expectations. Getting a hybrid camera and expecting it to do perfect video and perfect photo and everything in between the way we want to is unreasonable. And for people on a budget, having a hybrid camera that it also works as your video camera is the way to go. If you're a professional and you have a limited budget and you want to have a dedicated photo camera like a Leica M10 for example, and a dedicated cinema camera just for filming videos and documentaries, then go ahead, be happy. But for us, people on a budget, we have to get a hybrid camera that it can try to do the best that it can in both fields. So if you combine the build quality, the weather sealing, the lenses available, the quality of the pictures and the sensor, and the discounted price, I think the Fujifilm X-T3 is the best bang for the buck of 2020. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. There's a lot more ideas that I'd like to explore together, a lot more content coming in the next couple weeks. Thank you very much for giving me your time and your energy, and good luck with your creative process.